So, you're the kid who wanted to save Paramount Plus? Well, I don't know if your company needs saving. I just wanted to pitch a TV show. I mean, we lost approximately $1.5 billion in 2023, but anyways, let me guess, you're here to pitch a Top Gun miniseries? No, I've never seen Top Gun. Transformers miniseries? So I said in my email that I'm here to pitch a live-action Danny Phantom, and let me guess, similar to Butch Hartman, you want Tom Holland to star in it. Close, but no. Tom Holland's got the Spider-Man franchise, the Uncharted franchise, and a bunch of flop movies and TV shows to go make. The person I have in mind to play Danny is like relatively unknown, but he's been in some biggish projects, and he's my first choice to play Danny. So who is he? I mean, let's not get ahead of ourselves. This is a 30-minute pitch. It better be 30 minutes on the dot. My daughter finishes school at 1 and I gotta go pick her up. She can't walk? She's 8. Get started or I'm calling security. Okay then, okay. I'll start with a question then. What is Paramount Plus's biggest original show, live action original show, with the 18 to 30 demographic? It was the iCarly reboot, but then we cancelled that. Exactly. And what show did Netflix release just a week after Valentine's Day, which ended up being a huge hit for them? The live action Avatar: The Last Airbender? Exactly. Excluding Zoe 102, I'm seeing that there seems to be a market for more mature adaptations of 2000s Nickelodeon shows. That's why I'm here today to talk to you about Fenton. What is it? Imagine Danny Phantom if it was rebooted on the CW, but with better writing than the CW, and with Stranger Things special effects budget. The CW? You want Danny and his friends in a throuple? What's wrong with you? Oh God, no, why would you say that? Look, kid, as much as I love fangirling about possible thruples, I gotta go soon. And besides, this isn't how a pitch works, you know, when you are presenting a TV or film pitch, it's gotta be split into specific sections. Like, for example, what's the logline? Give me a quick description of what the show's about. Okay, Phantom is an action-adventure show about a teen named Danny Fenton. Danny is a human-ghost hybrid who transforms into his ghost alter ego, Danny Phantom. With the help of his friends, Sam and Tucker, his older sister Jazz, and his parents, Maddie and Jack, Danny protects his hometown of Amity Park, Minnesota, from evil ghosts while trying to balance this crime-fighting life with school and protecting his secret identity. Secret identity? Yes, sir. Danny Fenton has to hide the fact that he is Danny Phantom. But the two Dannys have the same face except for different eyes and hair. That's true. But I was hoping we could copy the whole quantum masking concept from Miraculous Ladybug. This means that one of Danny's powers, even though he isn't aware of it, is that he can like scramble people's brains when he transforms, you know? So even though Danny Phantom and Danny Fenton look the same, the human mind isn't able to comprehend that they're the same person unless like someone sees Danny transform or they're told about his secret identity. Speaking of Danny's transforming, how are we gonna handle that? What do you mean? Like, how are we gonna change his eyes and hair when he transforms? What's the suit gonna look like? Are we gonna try copy those blue transformation rings from the cartoon? That just sounds silly in live action. Regarding the eyes and hair, the actor I have in mind to play Danny has blue-green eyes, so I'm thinking we can make him contact lenses with deeper green irises for when he transforms. And then regarding hair, I propose that the actor's hair be kept the same length all season, and we make a white wig of hair the same length for whenever he's transformed. This way, whenever Danny transforms, the wig can be styled to resemble how his hair looked in the previous scene. What about his suit? Any ideas there? Yep. I want Danny to be wearing black leather skating gloves, black Converse sneakers, and a white hazmat suit when he goes into the ghost portal. This way, when all the colors get inverted, he'll have his black suit with white fingerless gloves and white Converse sneakers with sneaker art by Sam. Do you think Converse is going to let us use their shoes in our show? I hope so. If they allow it, that opens the door for us to do a limited edition Danny Phantom X Converse shoe collab later on down the line. Plus, I think wearing shoes with sneaker art on them helps remind the citizens of Amity Park that the guy saving them every day is still a teenager at the end of the day. I like it, but what about the blue transformation rings? What ideas did you have there? Have you seen how Miss Martian changes her clothes on the Young Justice cartoon? Basically, she uses her shape-shifting powers and whatever clothes she wants appear on her body from bottom to top. So likewise, I want Danny to have like a blue line of energy that sprouts from his feet to the top of his body and just clothes him in his suit. Obviously, his ghost outfit doesn't have a D on it yet. In a potential second season, I'd like to introduce Clockwork and loosely adapt the episode memory blank from the original show. So that episode would see Sam travel back in time, get into some hijinks, and put a D on his costume before his accident. Okay, I like it. Tell me more about the genre of the show though. Like, what sort of target demographic did you have in mind? Like I said, I want the vibe to be sort of like a CW teen drama, but with better writing and CGI than CW shows. Like, for example, do you remember Fate the Winx saga on Netflix? Ugh, don't remind me. That edgy wannabe Winx where they smoked pot and swore purely for shock value. That same one. So I see what the creators were trying to do and how they were trying to make like a dark teen drama Winx. But I want Fenton to be a 30-minute supernatural teen dramedy. I'm hoping you can greenlight a 13-episode first season, and I actually have a bunch of episode ideas I've written down if you want to read them. Let's touch back on that at the end. Right now I still want to understand your vision of the show as a whole. No problem. Anyway, yeah, I'd like a 13-episode first season. I'm thinking we can premiere the first 3 episodes at once and then air the rest weekly on Thursdays. The target audience I have in mind is like teenage and young adult. And so yeah, we're looking at a TV 14 rating. From my episode ideas, the vibe I'm getting is that the swearing on the show is very tame and sparse. So like, the characters do swear, but not often. And when they swear, they don't drop F-bombs and they don't say the B word. But also, I have an episode where an OD is mentioned and when a reproductive rights protest is mentioned, and I'm hoping that isn't a deal breaker. We're gonna have an overdose and a reproductive rights protest in a Danny Phantom show? We? Like you're gonna greenlight the show? I like the sound of that. I'm cautiously optimistic now that you brought the overdose up, but I mean, I still want to hear what you have to say. Tell me more about the characters though. What did you have in mind there? No problem. So the main characters are Danny, Tucker, Sam, Jazz, and the Fenton parents. The recurring characters are Paulina, Dash, Vlad, and Desirée. And similar to Percy Jackson, I want to have a bunch of 1 or 2 time appearance guest stars to play other ghosts, namely Ember, Skulker, and Box Ghost. Additionally, I'm hoping we can get Rhea Perlman as a special guest star to play Mrs. Rosenberg. But let's start with the star of the show. I want Asher Angel as Danny Fenton. Is he available? Shazam 2 came out like a year ago. Shouldn't they be filming the next one now? Well, when Shazam 2 came out, it underperformed, and James Gunn's implied that Shazam won't carry over into the new DCU. Additionally, Asher Angel released a song in January, and the music video still hasn't crossed 50,000 views on YouTube, so I think he's available. Anyway, yeah, so Danny is your average 15-year-old. He's a grade 10 student at Casper High School. His parents are kooky nuts who believe in ghosts. He's been friends with Tucker and Sam since elementary school, as you Americans call it, and his interests include trying to copy skateboard tricks he sees on TikTok and watching CCU, Chin Cinematic Universe, movies with Tucker. Chin Cinematic Universe? Like the Crimson Chin from Fairly Odd Parents? Listen, man, if Butch Hartman's willing to sign off on this show, I think he'll let us use the Crimson Chin. I mean, fingers crossed. Also, you mentioned that Danny's parents are like kooky nuts who believe in ghosts, so are ghosts a normal thing in Amity Park? Not until the beginning of the show when Jack and Maddie open their ghost portal. So in Phantom, instead of them having a ghost business, Fenton works as Jack's auto shop across the road from the house, because A, it makes sense to turn Jack's outfit into a set of overalls in live action, and B, because I had to rework the whole Jack, Maddie, Vlad situation. What do you mean? In the original, Vlad crushing on Maddie made sense because they went to university together, so they were presumably the same age. Right. But I chose a 35-year-old actor to play Vlad in Phantom, and I chose Alyson Hannigan to play Maddie. She's currently 49. Right. So I figure how we can remedy this is by having Vlad be 40 and having the Fenton parents be 45. My new backstory for them is that they went to university with Vlad's older brother Damien, and yeah, one weekend when Damien was in university, Vlad went to visit him when he was 16. He got a little drunk and he started harassing Maddie. You know, Jack came in to defend Maddie, Damien went in to defend Vlad, it became a whole bar fight, and so the University of Wisconsin-Madison board had to pin the blame on someone. So Vlad's dad, one of the university's most influential alumni, pinned the blame on Jack and had his academic scholarship revoked. Because of this, Jack had no choice but to move to Amity Park and start working at his uncle's auto repair shop, which he now owns. Interesting. What about Maddie? What's her deal? Well, my mom has a set of teal blue scrubs, and one of my friends at Bible study is a phlebotomist. So Maddie's outfit is now a set of teal blue scrubs, and she's a phlebotomist at Amity Park General Hospital. So just to be clear, they aren't known as ghost hunters yet? Yeah, the Fentons being ghost hunters is initially kept a secret because they don't want to be seen as crazy conspiracy theorists. Interesting. But you were telling me about Danny? I was telling you about Danny. Yeah, Danny's whole thing is he's always wanted to be special, but he ends up getting a bit more than he wished for when he gets his ghost powers, you know? He likes his powers, he likes helping people, but every now and then it becomes a bit much for him, you know? I'm thinking maybe we can introduce themes of like anxiety and being a child soldier and all that. I don't know. But moving on to Danny's closest guy friend, Tucker Foley, who I have Ramon Reed in mind to play. Yeah, Tucker's your average nerd. He loves sci-fi, he's part of the school AV club, and he occasionally gets caught up in the incel mindset of his favorite nerd content creators before Sam slaps that nonsense out of him. Another thing about Tucker in Phantom is that his grandparents are regarded as local heroes in Amity Park due to their work as civil rights activists. This means that people often expect Tucker to be the voice of reason or to be clued up on current social issues, but that just isn't him, you know? The furthest he goes in terms of activism is putting a BLM sticker on his laptop, you know what I mean? He also feels a bit awkward about being the only black person in his friend group, so when new girl in town, Valerie Gray, played by Dara Renee, comes to Amity Park in the season finale, they're gonna like hit it off, they might start dating in a second season, and that's gonna cause friction in the friend group because she'll obviously be a ghost hunter at that point. The final member in their friend group is Sam Manson, played by Isabella Pappas. Isn't she currently in the Stranger Things play? Yes, she is. And after that, isn't she gonna go film season 3 of Villains of Valley View? I mean, if Villains gets renewed for a 3rd season, Malachi Barton's currently in New Zealand filming Zombies 4. So we'd only be able to start filming around July or August? Assuming it's a 3-month shoot and taking our special effects needs into consideration, that means the earliest we could put the season out is in February of 2025. Also, do you know anyone who works at Stagecraft? We'd probably need to rent the volume for all the scenes taking place in the Ghost Zone. Of course I don't know anyone who works at Stagecraft. And by the way, how much does someone get paid for making a TV pitch? I'm filming this on an iPhone 8 and I want to buy a 14. Well, your show needs to be greenlit before you can get paid anything, so let's hear more about those characters. Okay then, back to Sam. Sam Manson is a very socially conscious 15-year-old girl. Her family's super rich, so her negative outlook on life stems from her hating her 1% privilege. A running gag with her character is that she often attends a lot of marches and protests, just like Elena from Netflix's One Day at a Time, and she's most passionate about environmental issues and women's reproductive rights in light of Roe v. Wade being overturned. In a potential second season, I'd like to include a storyline of Tucker asking Sam to accompany him to a BLM march, as it would be his first march, and Danny would be busy with something else in that episode. In episode 105, when Danny and Tucker are messing with Paulina, Sam's mad at them for not being honest with the girl, but she's also mad at them because she's had a crush on Danny for a while, and, you know, that's weird for the two of them. And then, yeah, they'll start having like a will they, won't they thing in episode 106 when Sam starts dating Zach and Danny starts feeling jealous as well. The final main teen character is Julia Lester as Jazz Fenton. Jazz is about a year older than Danny, so she's 17 and Danny's going to turn 16 in episode 106. Jazz's whole personality is that she's very type A. So even though she's only in grade 11, she goes to as many college fairs, SAT prep workshops, and college tuition counselors as possible. Her dream is to get a full-ride academic scholarship to Princeton and leave her family behind her. Because, you know, even though she loves them, she starts to have more and more disdain for their ghost hunting life as the show continues. Oh, I see. So if we ever want to do a mole storyline, we can reveal Jazz to be the one leaking information to Vlad. How do you know who Vlad is? I forgot to ask this, but have you watched Danny Phantom? Kid, I'm an executive at a streaming service. I've watched everything we have the rights to for possible reboots, sequels, or spin-offs. Original content is not a thing anymore. Did you have any, overarching storylines or themes you wanted to incorporate? Funny you should ask, because I wanted Maddie, Vlad, and Desirée to all carry, big themes or storylines in their individual character arcs. What do you mean? Let's start off with Maddie. I found out that Jewish bloodlines are matrilineal, and in the original show, I don't remember them giving Maddie a maiden name or showing us her parents. So in Phantom, she was born Maddie Rosenberg. I'm gonna stop you there. Do you have a Jewish screenwriter in mind to write this? Because I don't want to get accused of perpetuating anti-Semitic tropes. I mean, if you greenlight my show, I can go look for one. Yeah, you could. You were saying about Maddie, though? Maddie Rosenberg grew up in a really strict traditional Jewish household, and she hasn't spoken to her parents since they told her over the phone that they wouldn't be attending her wedding because she was marrying a Goy. As a result of this, Maddie resents her parents and her Jewish heritage, so she's raised Danny and Jazz agnostic. We see her begin to regret this decision though, specifically after the events of Car Mitzvah. So in the penultimate episode, she calls her widowed mom, Mrs. Rosenberg, played by Rhea Perlman, to come visit and teach Danny and Jazz a thing or two about their culture and heritage. If we hire the right person to pen the script, that could be a really dope storyline. And what about Desirée? What's her deal? So even though Desirée had an established backstory in the original, I changed it up here. Why? Because in the original Danny Phantom, a lot of the ghosts felt more like monsters or villains of the week than actual dead people with backstories. So I've changed it up in Phantom. When a person dies, they either go straight to the afterlife or they go to a counseling facility in the ghost zone called the Soul Slammer. In the Soul Slammer, you get counseling for up to a year to help you move on and let go of your unfinished business. But if after a year you still can't let go, then you're released into the ghost zone. So you become a ghost with cool powers, but with no chance of ever moving on to the afterlife. That's pretty dark. So every ghost we're ever going to meet is someone with unresolved trauma so big it held them back from going to the afterlife? It doesn't necessarily have to be trauma. You know, some people could be upset that they didn't achieve a particular goal in their life, or want to come back as a ghost to seek vengeance on someone, or just like petty about something insignificant, you know? I feel it helps humanize the villains to the audience, and it helps us root for them to do better. So what's Desiree's unfinished business? Thank you for asking. So Desirée was a fortune teller in India back in 1905 when it was still a British colony. Obviously, she was a con artist with no psychic powers, but she was a single mom and she needed to provide for herself and her daughter. So that's why she did it. Anyway, one day her daughter, along with other kids in the village, was abducted by some British soldiers as payback for a rebel attack. So Desirée spent the rest of her life looking for her daughter. Subsequently, she went to the ghost zone. You know, she was let out of the Soul Slammer because her unfinished business was that she wanted to be reunited with her daughter. So, you know, spent 100 years looking for her daughter in the ghost zone, and she realized she wasn't there, and, you know, she sort of went a little crazy. You know what I'm saying? Do you remember Maxwell Lord from Wonder Woman 1984? Similar to him, now that she's a ghost, Desiree's power is that she grants people's wishes, and the more wishes she grants, she becomes more powerful. But another drawback to that is whenever she grants someone wishes, she gets their voice playing in her head, so her powers are like slowly driving her more and more crazy. And yeah, she used to rule over the ghost zone with like an iron fist in the 2000s as a tyrant until Skulker captured her and trapped her on his island. And then in episode 103, Maddie frees Desirée without stopping to ask why she was imprisoned in the first place, and the two of them bond over motherhood while trying to find Jack and Danny and escape Skulker's island. Once she makes it to Amity Park, her mission is to grant as many wishes as possible. With the power she gains from that, she wants to open a power to the afterlife and be reunited with her daughter. Obviously, she can't do that, but she doesn't know that that's impossible. I see. Now, when you say she and Maddie bond, are we going to see them interact often in the season? Well, they'll meet in Predator or Prey. Then in episode 112, Desiree's going to hear Maddie's mom insulting her and send Mrs. Rosenberg to Skulker's Island as a way to, try help Maddie out. Then in the season finale, episode 113, Maddie's going to be the one to go talk to Desirée and calm her down when she goes nuclear and can't control her powers. I want Maddie to deliver a very heartfelt monologue about how many people she knows who lost family members during the Holocaust, and that's going to be her way of telling Desirée that her daughter's gone and she needs to start processing her grief. That's beautiful and all, but the main question on my mind is who runs the Soul Slammer? You remember Walker from the original show? He was a prison warden there, so in Phantom he's the superintendent of the Soul Slammer, which is designed to look like a psychiatric facility. In episode 107, Sam's going to sneak into the Soul Slammer and she'll hear Walker's voice over the PA system, but we won't see him. In future seasons, if we ever want to elaborate on the history of the Ghost Zone and who created it and who created the Soul Slammer, we'll have the gang go to Clockwork and see a vision of its formation because they need to defeat the Ghost King, who is the main villain of the penultimate season. So then, who would the main villain in the final season be? Who's Danny's arch enemy? Vlad Plasmius! Exactly! Better known by his civilian name, Vlad Masters, or his actor's name, Reggae Jean Page. Hold up, the Duke from Bridgerton? You want to race swap Vlad Masters of all people? Aren't people going to accuse us of perpetuating some woke SJW agenda or something? The issue with those people is that if you do a copy and paste adaptation like a Disney live action remake, they call you creatively bankrupt and unoriginal. But then if you do something new that isn't received well, they tell you to go back to what works and revive a beloved childhood classic of theirs. You know what I'm saying? I thought Reggae Jean Page would be a cool Vlad, and his race actually helps with the plot, so I think that's more interesting. In what way though? So I have this habit of Googling what ancestries mixed race celebrities are. For example, did you know Sophia Wiley is a quarter Korean? Your point is? My point is that Reggae Jean Page is half Zimbabwean and spent a chunk of his childhood growing up in Harare. In the original Danny Phantom, Vlad became mayor of Amity Park in later seasons, but I'd like Phantom to start with him already being mayor of Amity Park, and I want him to be in the background of the season the whole time campaigning for re-election, because Amity Park's mayoral elections are coming up again, right? I think it'd be interesting to have him be someone who uses his story as an immigrant's child turned successful politician to fuel the American dream message he pushes in all of his campaigns. Okay, but would you consider it like American dream messaging if he actually did like work his way from an immigrant son to a successful politician? That's the interesting part. What Vlad always neglects to mention is that his dad is Donald Masters of Masters & Co. Realty Group, the biggest real estate company in Wisconsin. You know, he tries to portray himself as someone who had to work hard and persevere to get where he is, but in reality, he's rich, he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, and his dad actually had to bribe a few people for him to be elected in the first place. Wait, but that doesn't make sense. If his dad bribed people for Vlad to win his first election, why is he even trying this time around? Because right before the season started, Vlad's dad cut him off completely. He was like, you're 40, it's time to be your own man, stop relying on me for everything, so now he actually has to try. That's pretty dope. What about his powers? Does he have those yet? Not yet. He's gonna get his powers in the last episode, and I want them to function a little differently in Phantom. Of course you do. What's different here? Well, in the original, Danny maintained his skin color and tooth shape when he turned into Danny Phantom, but for some reason, Vlad would get blue skin and pointy fangs. That's actually because Butch Hartman originally wanted Vlad Plasmius to be a vampire, but then Nickelodeon wimped out because they didn't want too much occult symbolism in the show. Exactly. So since we're doing something new here, I want to steal a bit from Butch's original vampire idea, and I want to make Vlad into a ghost vampire as opposed to a human ghost hybrid. What does that even mean? Okay, well, in episode 101, Danny is inside a ghost portal while it's powering up, and he experiences a high amount of ecto-energy radiation, which mutates him and turns him into a human-ghost hybrid, so he can switch from human to ghost at will without it having any negative side effects on his body. Right? Vlad, on the other hand, injects ectoplasm into his arm in a night to remember. The ectoplasm gives him temporary powers, and he needs to keep injecting himself to keep his powers. Now his body has experienced the high of ectoplasm, and he's going to start craving it, and he ingests it in one of two ways. Either he injects it into himself like a drug, or he sucks it directly from a ghost's bloodstream like a vampire, because the blood in a ghost's bloodstream is ectoplasm. He's going to reach a point in the penultimate season where his cravings are getting out of control, and he starts having violent seizures when he goes more than 12 hours without ectoplasm. That's when he's officially going to declare himself Danny's nemesis and wage war on the Fenton clan. That sounds pretty cool and all, but what does Danny have to do with Vlad's health declining? We're later going to find out that because Danny is the only human-ghost hybrid in existence, his blood is the only cure to Vlad's vampirism. You know, the ectoplasm, yes, it's cool and it gives Vlad cool powers, but it's still a foreign body that's making him sick, right? So Danny's blood would be the only thing that cures Vlad's vampirism, but he'd need to suck all of the blood in Danny's body, effectively killing him, to cure his condition. That sounds cool. Maybe the final battle in the show could end with Vlad turning good and fighting alongside Danny and the good guys, but still like dying in Danny's arms, like Harry Osborn at the end of Spider-Man 3. I mean, not every villain here needs to be sympathetic, you know? I feel like what separates Vlad from the rest of the ghosts is he didn't get his powers from like, you know, unfinished business or some huge piece of trauma. He was just a douchebag who wanted power. So personally, I think we should keep him evil to the end. But I don't know, like, if you greenlight the show, whatever, man, give me money. Anyway, speaking of the end, you keep mentioning final seasons and penultimate seasons. Let's say I greenlight your show. How long do you want it to run for? Thank you for asking. So I always think that teen dramas should run for 4 years maximum, maybe 5 if they're really, really popular, right? And so I would like Phantom to run for 4 seasons. Season 1 would follow Danny and his friends in the second half of their grade 10 school year. Season 2 would be set during the summertime. Season 3 would be set over grade 11. And the final season, season 4, would be set over Danny and Co's senior year of high school. Also in Phantom, I want Jazz and Dash to both be a year above Danny in school, so that in season 4 he can talk to each of them about the importance of planning for university. Because, Jazz is going to be over here living the Ivy League dream, while Dash is going to be at some community college trying to find himself because he peaked in high school. Speaking of Dash, what did you have in mind for him and Paulina? I'm hearing a lot of lore-heavy supernatural stuff going on, so do we even need the two of them in the show? I figure you need the popular kids there so Danny doesn't seem too cool. Sure, he can walk through walls, disappear, and fly. But, he still has to deal with the star shooting guard of the varsity basketball team bullying him and the pretty cheerleader chick basically not paying him any attention, So they're mostly there whenever we want to do more traditional high school plots, A big basketball game that the gang all have to attend because their parents want them out the house. Sam being entered into the prom queen shortlist as a prank, but then actually competing because she loves hurting vain people. Tucker sometimes missing out on missions because he has to man the scoreboard at basketball games. If we ever do school plots, we have the two of them there for that. Okay then, can I see those episode ideas you keep piping up? Of course, here they are. Well, I'm sold. This pitch sounds well thought out and interesting, but without any representation, I don't think we can afford to make your show. What do you mean? You Americans think Italians are people of color, so Danny's got 2 POC friends. The Fenton family are Jewish. The mayor of their town is mixed race. Heck, his love interest is Latina. What do you mean, no representation? You know, representation. I don't understand. Representation. Just think of it for a second. Oh, representation. Okay. Well, I couldn't think of any blonde male actors to play Dash, so I was just like, maybe Joe Serafini, if Joe Serafini is not busy. So maybe Dash can be bi, and his whole thing is that he and Quan had a messy breakup, so they hate each other, but they're also both on the basketball team, so they have to see each other at practices and matches all the time. And then, yeah, they can get together right before prom in the final episode. And then, Julia Lester is Pan, so maybe when Jazz goes to university in season 4, she'll like have a sexual awakening and get a girlfriend. How's that? Perfect! We just need to sign some paperwork and then it's all systems go on Phantom. We're gonna make Asher Angel a star. The Star of David? Sure, Malachi. The Star of David. What? Hi there, everyone. Malachi here. Thank you so much for watching this episode of The Pitch. If you liked it, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for new pitches very, very often. I don't know if it's obvious or not, but I really want this Danny Phantom show to actually be greenlit by Paramount Plus. I know they said they want to do like a movie revolving around time travel. I think this was better. I don't know about you. Anyway, yeah. If you want to continue talking about this pitch on social media, I really want to see what you guys have to say and all that sort of stuff. So please be sure to use the hashtag Phantom Paramount Plus whenever you talk about it on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Oh, also, if any of you out there like is good with making fan edits or like Photoshop or that sort of thing, if you could make me like a picture of Asher Angel wearing the Danny Phantom suit so I could put it on the thumbnail, like I'll credit you, but you're not getting remunerated. Anyway, yeah, thank you so much. As always, I'd like to thank Oros for sponsoring my channel.
No,
I could do
no.
They said no? They said
no.
Oh, they said no? Okay, bye, Oros. Oros, what are you waiting for? Please sponsor me.